Items are one of the most important pillars of a roguelike. They power the player up to give them a feeling of progression and help distinguish runs from one another. However, despite their importance, I've kind of been neglecting them in my game. So, let's fix that. So, what makes a good item system in a roguelike? Well, to me, items should serve two purposes. The first is that they should be fun or powerful, hopefully both, and should fit into at least one archetype/class. Think of Roll of Pennies and Regenerating Scrap from Risk of Rain 2, the various different bullet modifiers from Enter the Gungeon, or the synergistic abilities that you find in Hades. So what's the problem? Many items are already powerful and synergies already exist between them. The main problem was building towards a synergistic build. That just didn't feel good. You'd usually find one of these highly synergistic items early on, but at that point you didn't have enough items to fully take advantage of their effectiveness, which made the game feel very clunky and weird. Additionally, because you would get items at a true random rate, your items would usually be pulling you in different directions to go for different build paths, which made you feel very weak and underpowered for the majority of your playtime. To solve this issue, I've added typing and rarities into my items. An item's rarity can be one of four rarities: common, rare, antique, or legendary. Common items are either generically good or provide a good foundation for a build the player can create later on. As the items get rare, their effects become more specialized to interact with the specific builds that the player will be going for. As by the time the player finds a very rare item, they will usually have enough other items to take advantage of it. To make sure the player can consistently create coherent item builds, items will be more likely to show up if they share types with the items they already have. If you have a lot of chance-based items, you won't find many descender type items. So how do we control the spawning of these items? Well, the game director uses weighted probability. To do this, it creates an array of every item that can be currently spawned. Each item has an assigned weight, which will influence how likely it is to be chosen. This is done because different parameters, such as an item's rarity or typing, can affect how likely it is to spawn. Let's say we have 4 items. Before, each one of these items would have the same chance to be chosen, so we'll give them a starting weight of 1. To see how likely an item is to be chosen, we add up all the weights, then divide the item's weight by the total. So here, an item has a 25% chance to be chosen. But, all of these items have different typing. Let's say we've picked up one on-hit item. Well, every item that has that typing, on hit, will have its weight increased by a certain amount, giving us new chances for the items. The benefit of using weights is that changing values can be done easily and at runtime. Adding in a new item doesn't require us to change any of the previous values, it simply changes the odds of the other items being chosen, meaning it can scale really well for big projects. I've also made the items a lot more comprehensible. I got a recommendation to allow the player to see advanced tooltips, so people who enjoy min-maxing and understanding a game's underlying systems can have a better idea of what they're looking at. With this, I also decided to borrow from the UI seen in Baldur's Gate 3 and keywording system for Magic the Gathering. I've condensed a lot of terminology and mechanics into single underlined words, and then these can be clicked to reveal more information about what they mean. To do this, I have a script on each tooltip text that replaces all identifying text with an underlined and linked word. When clicked, we load a context menu based off the link. That way, adding more context menus or identifying phrases is really simple and is done through a maximum of 2 scripts. Finally, I'm quickly just going to go over all the 7 archetypes that you can do and give a brief overview on what they do. Chain items do a lot of area of effect, and while they're really good for clearing out rooms, they're not so good at clearing out bosses. Chance-based effects usually have really powerful items that are behind them, but of course, they don't happen all the time. Debuffs are great for retaining ammo, as they kill your enemies without you having to shoot them as much. Defensive items are for lobotomites who would rather just tank everything rather than dodge it. Descending items are the best scaling items because every time you go down in the world, they get stronger. Drones are for people who don't want to be fighting alone against the abhorrent abominations of the depths. And finally, on-hit items trigger effect whenever you hit an enemy with a bullet or attack. So that's it for the item rework. I am really excited to add a lot more items to flesh out the system and make some really fun builds. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the devlog. Have a good day.